to this thing. I gotta turn these lights on so I can see what's going on. How's it going out there? So, yeah, we're back. Was here with the day. Was talking different topics. Whatever you want to talk about. If you happen to be on, feel free to shoot a line. Let me know. I know everything's going on in Lewiston, Maine with that dude. That was crazy. And white cats be shooting them. People don't hold them accountable. It's always the same old same. Can't make this up. It's just something that you see all the time. And the real terrorists, the real hate and everything that gets spread and the mental illness, why these guns keep being allowed, I don't know. That's the big news and prayers and thoughts of what the folks in that situation. Um, Other topics in recent days I talked about in a video where I was talking about Britney Spears' book, about Justin Timberlake trying to talk black with Genuine. That was not surprising. Talk about the black face all the time. White artists doing it, been doing it forever and a day. Birth of a nation, nothing new. Things just about stay the same. Um, Basketball is back. Football game tonight. If you're a Bills fan like I am, got to play Tampa Bay. It is like a must win. I hate to agree with Nick Wright, but they got to make a statement because if they let Baker Mayfield beat their butt, they in trouble. Anthony Davis is on the hot watch. Lakers playing Phoenix. That's supposed to be, I think, the game two. There's some NBA on. Victor Wamba looked pretty good in spurts last night. Spurs got a lot of work to do, but he's going to definitely with his reach, and they're going to be in some interesting games if when they can buckle down and get some seasoning. He's got a chance to be interesting. I don't know about all this next dunking goat talk, but he got a chance if he I think he bulks up a little bit. It could be interesting. I watched that Boston Knicks game. And my first thoughts was the Knicks need a second two guy because Brunson can't do it alone. They don't have another guy that you really got to worry about. They missed too many free throws. For Zingas, I never really thought about a guy being the fourth best player too much on the team, but there is truth to that. He right where he fit because he's going to be, and Drew Holiday is going to be a big pickup for them. So, you know, that was an interesting game watching that. So that was I was watching some NBA, different things. I got asked about this Mike Johnson dude, the new Supreme Court. I mean not Supreme, but the Speaker. Interesting cat, a mega supporter, but yet he has a black son, and he talks about the racism and the situation. So I'm like, okay, but what you gonna vibe on? What you gonna the issue? So I don't know. You up there talking that you believe Trump had the election flipped, but yet you come back and then you're kind of over the place. So he looks like a Mike Pence. He's a pretty square cat, frosted flakes. Of course, everyone's talking about Dwight Howard, but that wasn't nothing surprising. I knew, he's about that pound cake life, and he says what goes on in his business. I think if he ain't assaulting nobody, he should still get to play in the NBA. I don't think that he's the only pound kicker in the NBA or NFL or baseball or anything in professional sports. It's just that they cover a lot of cats. But you know, entertainment, all this. Because when cats get money and they didn't been through this and been through that, if they're not doing other things with their lives, then they start to get bored and become. It's a lot of that stuff that go on that people in the public would be very surprised and shocked of because, you know, But the White has always been the cat. I had an issue with him on the basketball court. I figured there was tinkering, but I knew that the basketball, just always say he never learned how to play offense. His defense was great, took care of himself physically, but just mentally, just wasn't always in the game and wasn't trying to make himself into a better player. Because I think right now, we didn't have all these shenanigans, all this stuff going on. Golden State could definitely use him. Could you imagine the way Howard Kamingas and them? That's what they're missing. That's why I think the Warriors, that's the one thing I think that's going to keep Golden State from getting to the chip. We can let Steph get another ring until they get address the box. Because I like Kamingas a lot. He's coming on and Kevin Looney's nice. But they're lighting the cakes. And I think that's what's going to cost them. That's one of the things that hurt them against Phoenix the other night. So, you know. So, it's still early with all that. But just coming through. See anybody got anything to talk about? Um, I talked about the Drake time, Michael Jackson, Billboard, whatever that's for worth. These charts are so corrupt and so manipulated, it's not even funny. So nowadays, people can look like they got all these hits and they look because of the stream and everything. It's not the same impact. But they want to put on Drake bigger certifications than Eminem or really, what does it mean at the end of the day? Because if the public ain't feeling your ruckus, hell, most people I know don't even know 5 Drake songs. If you're a certain age and range, you're not. So it all depends, really. But I will give him one thing. He has been around for a minute. He came in much hyped and ballyhooed, and so they're still talking about him. They're still talking about him. So he's, for his audience and in his era, he's doing something for him that's worked. I'll give him that much, but I don't feel him. I just don't. I don't feel it. I don't get the hype there. Just me. And sometimes some people will say it's an age thing or say everything. No. If you got great songs and material, I can tell somebody, some of these acts. I used to get tell that about Trey songs, and he's in the news for his situations too, but he's got some of the white, but on the straight side of the white. But I got someone say, "Oh well, he's younger," and you look at him, and I said, "No," I said he got a good voice, but his material was lacking. Because I think he came out good. I thought just got to make it and all that when he had Twist on the hook. I thought he was cool at first, but some of this stuff, he yodeling and his songwriting just never went up to par. So had a career, but just never felt that it reached another level. So, because there are levels to this that you have to aspire to. I guess another hot topic, I guess, was Carmelo Anthony, because I was debating, does he a top 15 small forward would be. And no, I can't have him top 10. Not saying the 15, 11, 15 range. People always get mad when I said, look, he was great in college and he had a great coach in Denver. And I thought that he should have thrived with Denver, but I forgot all about his career when he left the Knicks. I really did, because I told a buddy, I said, when Derrick Rose and Joker Noah were asking him to come to Chicago, I should he ran with the Bulls. He should have gone to Memphis or somewhere, cherry pick scoring, because he was just wasted in New York. And when Jeremy Lin Sanity took over, he became an afterthought. And I just thought, what did he do in New York? And because when he left New York, then he just became, he was, they call it couch surfing when you go from couch to coast to live into a house. Well, he was, team surfing. I forgot all about his career. OKC, Houston. And when he got on the point, 25, I just like, who cares? I mean, he got the Portland, got the Lakers. I'm like, nobody's sweating Carmelo no more. So came and went. And it be like that sometime. Sometime a cat be around so long, but he's just putting up stats and he's not hitting. It's kind of like what Vince Carter's career was like, sad to say. And if you would have asked me who had a better career than Vince Carter and Carmelo, I'd tell you Vince moved me more, but neither one of them got full potential. Neither one of them. But Vince could have been like way, way up there. Carmelo would have still been like 5 spots down behind it, but it's these certain people that you see just based on skill set, the nuances, so, you know. So Brock Purdy got a concussion protocol. They say he should be back by Sunday. 49ers got to play Cincinnati. That's a must win. They got a lot because they got to kind of find a way to stop the turnovers and simplify the game. So, of course, as being a Michigan Wolverine fan, I got asked about those allegations of cheating and what have you. Every team cheats until you get caught. Some dude was giving out booster tickets or something like that, and I'm thinking, well, yeah, they all do it till you get caught. You know, this is just another motivation to get Harbaugh to leave Michigan. So if he does decide to go to the NFL or something, no blood, no marks on him. So but they all do it. Eventually, they all get caught. Someone has to give up something because it's all under, it's always under faulty wiring. So yeah, and I got asked about Mad Dog Russo, who quit on ESPN and he was retiring. End of an era. End of an era. You miss guys like that who really cared about the sports, who really had a thorough depth, integrity. Um, really, great at what he did. Could go back in time, which is missing because there's always good to guys who can take you back. So I definitely love that. I was watching Vlad TV. The Johnny Gill interview was real good. Sad when he talked about Gerald Levert dying without, because he wanted a Grammy, he never won. Made me think about Luther Vandross. And you know, Gerald Levert spoke out about the industry because he talked about his beard and his features and how, had he looked more acceptable, maybe he would have gotten it. And it's the part of the systematic institutionalized racism where Johnny Gill has never won a major award either. So what are their criteria? They have some very interesting so-called standards that they do, but the awards are bogus because they don't really make or break your career. You know, I always say if the fans support you, that's the make or break your career, not some award that collects dust, not these certifications. So, you know, artists are used, they're bought and paid for, and people get excited more about the awards than the actual artists because it's not going to mean that you're going to be uh, forever selling a lot of records that you forever, loved and worship. You are when you go to play, entertain. But as far as like these awards, they're fixed. There's not like because you won that you suddenly get this, get exempt that you get this for no, no. It's a lot of politics involved with all of it. So, of course, I'm going to go back to the first story I was talking about, the Lewiston main thing. And if you know me, and I don't care if people jump off or not, they need to ban guns. They need to speak out against the racist NRA. They need to talk about all that stuff, mental illness, all this stuff going on that is driving people to hearing things, being things, all that. So it's a sad reality that's going on out here in this world. Very unfortunate. Um, and it just happens way too many times. There's too many guns, too much violence, and it's just turned into it's its own warfare. You don't have to go overseas or places to see it. It happens all the time. That's one of the reasons what makes the United States so dangerous because they push this agenda and solve problems or everything comes down to this weaponry, and it's just a sad state of affairs. And I think that's not freedom. That's a dictatorship. This is an agenda they keep pushing. So I am not a fan of. They don't do serious enough background checks. They really don't. Too much of this goes on, and it's a sorry state of affairs. I think. So I definitely don't. That whole thing is just. You know, you got to put how people, groups of individuals involved, and there is just nothing balanced with that. So that's my thoughts on that. Dusty Baker retiring as Houston Astros manager. Very sad. One of my favorite managers ever. Seventh winningest manager ever. Won his ring with Houston last year. Um, but I'm glad for him in his next endeavor. Wish that man nothing but the best. Been a fan of his when he was playing for the Dodgers. My grandfather bought me a Dusty Baker glove back in the day. And he came up big. He down to earth cat. Great with the Giants with Barry Bonds and Jeff Kent. Great with the Cubs with Sammy Sosa. Because if it wasn't for Bartman, he went to the World Series with the Giants. Almost went with the Cubs. Won with Houston. So he proved himself time and time again. Was always a winner. So, and the World Series starts tomorrow night, Texas and Arizona. Very interesting World Series to say the least. Very interesting. Which baseball gets away with it unlike any other sport because the parity in baseball, you can get hot at the right time, you can win, and I know some people gonna ask me, do I think Bryce Harper is overrated? Well, he's came on and said he didn't get to then hasn't won a World Series ring so far. His flares and his drama and his ego, he got to win. So, I know he gets a lot of fanfare. Heard the Yankees are looking at Juan Soto from the Padres. I figure they're gonna make a move. They have to do something because they've been underachieving and they have not gotten where they're supposed to get. And the Aaron Judge era has been underwhelming. Besides his personal stat pattern, his great run last year, but they're not a team. It's individualized play. So as a Yankee fan, and I knew their season was over in the summertime. So, I'm thinking like July, like, see y'all. So, you know, just one of them things where it's like, that's frustrating. Sometimes as a sports fan, you root for somebody and they just, it's just not there. So, uh, you know. hmm This whole thing with Jay-Z coming out talking about $500,000 to have lunch with me. I'm like, of course you take the money. He came out and said he wouldn't sell his masters. Well, they say that today, but 4 or 5 years from now, you might. And I gotta remember something. A lot of bigger names and better artists have sold off their masters. Then he just has to be in a situation because he was able to wheel and deal selling other people's masters that he was able to get his. That's the part they never talk about. You know, he's a shiesty one. He's in the right business though. But don't say what you won't do because there is no real money in the music unless you're putting songs on soundtracks or they're getting on these commercials or something like that. Ain't no money no more with people buying records like, you're generating that kind of loot, so uh, streams makes money, but the artists don't make pennies on the dollar. So, you know, so just one of those things. There's many different topics just randomly running off at the time. Depends on if anybody comes through. I'm gonna give it a few more minutes because if I don't see anybody come through, I'm gonna clip this off. You know, try my luck, see if anybody was into talking about different things, and that's how people are doing. There's a lot going on. Oh yeah, I don't mess with no Halloween. Orange is my favorite color, but I don't mess with no Halloween. It's a hokey day. It's not a real holiday. If you want to eat candy, you can do that anyway. But this trick or treat goblins and all this Demonte Illuminati stuff, don't partake in it. Mm-mm. Has no value, has no bearing. And a matter of fact, I grew up in a time period when cats used to get Snickers bars with razor blades in it. And so, I mean, it's just something they've overblown. They've made it into something that, uh, you know, I just don't really buy into it. So, you know, that's something that I really look forward to. Depends on where you live in too. The weather is a bit cooler. Got out today. It was kind of on the breezy side. So got to bundle up. Got to get into it. So, yeah, you know. With everything else going on. Because sometimes you forget it's just 2 months before the holidays. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, it's crazy how that's just that this year is almost up like that. You don't think about it like that because 2 months ago was August and now it's October at the end. So, you just never know how these things are going to go. Just looking at it real strangely. So, you know, hard to digest and put in perspective, but that's kind of what happened. So, mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm gonna give it about a couple of minutes. If nobody come through, I'm gonna clip and see some views came through. But I don't know, nothing. I understand the day is kind of like near the end of the weekend. People kind of on the low, so I get it. You know, pretty much just trying to get to the end of the week, and it's been a long week. It's been different things going on, so you know, so yeah, a lot of things. I did watch. Out of respect, I was watching Shaft again. I've seen that movie 999 times, but I feel like watching it again one more time for Richard Roundtree and Isaac Hayes, one more time for John Shaft, the legacy, the impact, and the depth of that movie. And another great actor was in that movie was Moses Gunn, who played Bumpy. So, you know, and probably trained the Bumpy Johnson character, which has been thrown around. Um, different cats have done it. Forrest Whitaker's got his own Sears Live room. Part of American Gangster with Denzel Washington was doing it. So, but Shaft was definitely an original. It's one of the first movies of its kind where the character and the composer, the actor and the composer went hand in hand because Isaac Hayes' incredible rhythms and arrangements with Richard Roundtree's portrayal of John Shaft and the whole nine, they were like syncopated. So that says a lot right there when you can tie the two worlds together and you can definitely feel where they're coming from. That is memorable. That is movie. That is filmmaking gold. So you know, um, if you haven't watched Shaft, I would say recommend it. It's kind of hard for people to understand. Some people say the first black hero on screen, all of that. I mean, and I don't know if that's a knock. That some people knock Sidney Poitier. Sidney was a hero because he stood up. He was a great actor. These were different types of heroes. Action, what Roundtree did, what Max Julian did. If you want to call the Mad Hero, if you want to call Fred Williamson one for the big screen, but they were different types. But everyone else had a heroical standpoint. Sidney Poitier, because the education, it was beating people with knowledge and wisdom. And so it's different ways that you can call it a hero and different ways you can respect it. There's no one way. You don't have to rock a leather jacket and an L dog and be fly gear and have women's and have money and all that. You can be fly and educated too with a briefcase, attaché case. You can be fly with a hard hat on, blue collar gig. You going to work, you got your cool, you got your wit, you keep your balance. So there's no one way to do it. You know what they always say: there's no one way to skin a cat because it goes in different ways. So, but filmmaking and what you see in artistic vision and what you enjoy, So, um, but yeah, rest in peace to Richard Roundtree. Definitely one of the best to ever do it, and definitely left a lasting impression. So yeah, it depends on where you are on these YouTube streets. Depends on the things that catches your attention. You know, I get asked about the Keefe D situation with Tupac. I think there's way more to it. That Greg Kidden do the detective. I think he knows more. I think they all know more. I said before, Clive Davis, um, Jimmy Iovine, they all know more. They made money off of two Negroes body bagged and Tupac Shakur and Christopher Wallace, aka Biggie Smalls. They made money off of them and used Suge Knight and Puffy in the window. And there's more going on with that. Bet your bottom dollar if those were their children, they would find out who did it. That would have been arrested. It wouldn't take no almost 30 years later. Keefe D, though he did some dumb stuff and started talking and put himself out there, why is he the only one that's being used? That's what they do. That's what they do. So I think there's still going to be more to that. Yeah, I talked about Jada Pinkett's book, Bombing. Well, if everybody knows your history, knows what you're talking about, there is nothing fresh and new that you can display because that's just, you know, you really aren't enlightening anybody on anything. It's much of the same old same. Britney Spears' book is interesting because you didn't understand the depths of her and Timberlake, understand the depths of what all went through. So hers and the whole thing about how he used black culture, how he tried to talk to Genuine, but I'm not surprised. I know he's a culture bandit, but it's interesting. See, now she did it the right way. Jada, we've heard too much. Yeah, I got asked. Oh yeah, I was talking about Prince's Diamonds and Pearl, Prince New Power Generation, Diamonds and Pearls. Not was never a big fan of that album. Wasn't big on Prince's albums after '87. Sound of Times was the last album of his I could get into. I like parts of the Little Sexy record. Anastasia was probably my last favorite song that he did. But I said as a live performer, Prince, uh, that's the one thing. He got better on guitar. He is a live performer, band leader. He got better. But his albums didn't really do much for me after the '80s. They didn't. Songs I thought were uh, either overlong. He overproduced, so when less was more with Prince was his heyday for me. I know. Some people may say, well, that was the youth of it. And I just thought he was a hungry artist and had a bigger bite with his musicality. But I thought as a live performer, he was consistent. That's where to me, that's where the bag was. You know, when he was live, you know. So, But Diamond Pearl was a big project, and that title song with him and Rosie Gaines was a big song. I heard the outtakes. I didn't hear anything that really rung my chimes. I understood why a lot of it didn't make it because he had a couple songs that were New Jack Swing based, and there was two things that Prince did in the '90s that made me cringe. Is when he, well, three. He tried New Jack Swing. I think Acknowledgement was all right, but a lot of that other stuff was just dated and just didn't hit. Didn't like his dance hall attempts; they were corny, and his hip hop attempts were just hilariously wrong. You know, he had the wrong rappers. The closest he got to getting hip hop to making it halfway snap was pretty much on Get Off. You know, but he was one of those kind of artists that if he tried to do a particular style, it worked when he wasn't necessarily trying to go at it full hard. So like if he incorporated it, then it sounded cool. But when he tried to just, I wasn't buying him with the gun microphone and trying to be hip, and no, that's not what made Prince Prince. But it's gonna be interesting how the estate sells. I mean, he's got a lot of stuff that's out there, but I just think that boat kind of sailed. I think had this came out 20 years ago, because I listened to the Sound of Times, and there was a lot of stuff that I had and some stuff I hadn't had. That sounded really good. But a lot of stuff just didn't. The audience has gotten older and moved on, and it's just not the same because a lot of time was wasted. Purple Rain, I'll take, which is going to be a big year from next year, the 40th anniversary. But stuff was hit and miss. It depends on what you heard. 1999, some of it, it's going to be concentrated on his biggest, you know. But you will understand the impact he had, you know. But for me, with him, it was always mainly been about the live set, you know. Especially once I got past the 80s, I just, wasn't feeling most of his studio stuff because he put out a lot of stuff. And I always remember Little Richard always said a little bit of something was all better than a whole lot of nothing. So, you know, you know how the old adage was Michael Jackson didn't put out enough and Prince put out too much. So if you could have the balance of the yin and the yang, you know. So that's how it was with some artists. Some artists, they can get away with being productive and it works in their favor. Some, you know, there are artists that, you know, uh, you wish they took some more chances. Some artists you wish they put the foot on the gas and kind of pump the brakes. So, you know. But I've seen some good tributes to Prince lately. Madonna did a good one in Minneapolis, and RZA, Wu-Tang did a good tribute to him. And that's good that they go to Minneapolis and they pay respects to him, you know. Because people in the know remember, especially acts that came along when they knew you had to be a certain caliber. And that's the one thing, you know. That's what's sorely lacking. All these acts today are just raggedy. And it's just like, I don't know who you're performing for. I don't know if you're performing for OnlyFans or you perform for the dollar store drive-through or a chitlin drive-through. I don't know what it is. It just ain't it ain't groomed, it ain't styled, it ain't profiled. It just seems like it's just there. So, you know. But it makes for good discussion. You know. People don't like you to hear the truth when you grew up watching people bring it. And I still say to this day, I can tell Michael Jackson standing behind the stage in a silhouette. If you see somebody today standing in a silhouette today, you think they may be ready to blow the building up because you sure as heck don't know if they're a performer. And they don't really give you anything that indicates they're going to do it like that. So, you know, like Whitney Houston could just stand there and sing, and Aretha Franklin could just stand there and sing. So, you know, and I know some people are going to say, well, what about Beyonce? I said, well, she's big, but her songs just don't hit for me like that. They just don't. So, you know, you have to be honest with what moves you. And it's not an age thing. It's just how to, you know, they'll say the algorithms, but I'll just say, look, if the material's there, it's there. If it ain't, it ain't. That's what hurts a lot of artists. So that's my personal opinion about that. But I always like to get music feedback, like I get sports feedback, like I get movie feedback, like you do political feedback. You know, it's all good. So, you know, there's different things out there that move you. And, you know, there are different takes about that. You know, so talking about quarterback right now. Patrick Mahomes is the best. Jalen Hurts is probably second. I don't agree with the Joe Burrow thing. I think he's tough, but he ain't playing on better than Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts on 9-2, you know, is balling. So them three right now, and after that you can debate. But those three stand out the most right now. Mahomes, uh, Tua, and Jalen Hurts. Take your picks. Those are three going right now. You know, so it's gonna be a big weekend of different things going on, and so on and so forth. So and I'll be out here in these, like I said, if I'm not in these YouTube streets, I'll be just doing different things and uh, getting some fresh air. Yeah, gotta go hit some more water up too. You can never have enough water. I was messing with that Fuji water and then that Iceland water. See, I'm a water connoisseur. That's another thing that I would share with me. I love different styles of water. The best way to get real cool with me is to actually bring some water, because then I'm like, okay. Especially if you know your water. Don't bring no Perrier though. I don't mess with no Perrier. My mother used to like that stuff, and I thought that stuff was dry. It's got a fancy name, but it just never moved me. So, but yeah, definitely messing with some water. You have different standards of different things that you indulge in. So that's what's up, though. I know I said I was gonna stop, and then I got to talking about music. Then I went on a tangent there, and so um, decided to put that. But I will, conclude, since there was no questions coming through lately. Anybody came through? Um, I shall conclude in about another minute. I'll give it one more minute in case somebody, because I see a couple of heads popped up. So if anybody got any questions, feel free. This is the time to, say something. Feel free to put it down. Again, we'll talk about whatever, right now. So, that's what's up. So, yeah, I'll give it about another minute. Yeah, I done touched on a lot of different topics already, whatnot. You know, see what's going on. You know, talk about college football. Um, be some interesting games coming up. Yeah, the season's almost up in college football. It's hard to believe. There's only about 3 or 4 more weeks left. That's almost up. It's like, wow. Again, you don't realize how fast time goes by until you stop and think about it. So, it's really another hurry up. All right, so I'm gonna conclude right now. Then we got any more questions with anybody, but I hope those who are out there was, listening. Appreciate you coming through. Uh, Please continue to be safe and well. And if you ever want to talk about anything, feel free to send me a link, send me a message. Peace and the best. Stay up. I'm out.